Hello and welcome to Summit Live, episode 19. We are coming to you, as always, from our headquarters at Summit International Flooring in Whippany, New Jersey. My name is David Numark. I am the president of Summit International Flooring. I will be joined today by my co-host, Mark Becker. Mark is our national sales director, and sitting in with me today, we have a very interesting show. It's a roundtable of interior designers. We have with us Defined ID out of Dallas, Texas, where we have Michelle Mallette and Rita, Dielle, Broussard with us. And we also have out of the Philadelphia region, Interiors by Donna Hoffman. And Donna Hoffman will be joining us briefly as well. We're going to talk about, today we're going to talk about different regions, different likes, dislikes, different trends, whatever. We'll get going with that in just a minute, but let's first welcome in our guests. Michelle, Rita, and Donna, are you all there?
Hello and ready.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, everybody. Great to see you. Thank you for putting up with our sound check before. It took a little while, but it's all good. It's great to meet you, Michelle and Rita, Dielle. Donna and I have worked together in the past, so I don't think we've Donna. Oh, actually, I did meet you once, but it's a pleasure to meet you both, Michelle and Rita. So we're going to start off. Mark's going to start off asking a couple questions about your background, and we'll get into it from there.
Well, I think first for the viewers watching, maybe we just start with Defined ID and take 1 or 2 minutes and tell us about who you are and what inspires you, and a little bit about your firm.
Yes, of course. So Michelle and I were both hospitality interior designers, and we designed hotels for probably collectively 10 years. And at the beginning of the year, we decided to start our business in January because it's something that we always wanted to do. So we became friends at a firm here out in Dallas, and then we decided to branch off on our own. And we do residential now. We do have plans of growth to jump into commercial eventually, but we're starting out right now in residential. So yeah, is there anything you want to add, Michelle, to that?
No, I mean, that was pretty much it. We just both have our hospitality backgrounds, and so now it's a pleasure just being able to be our own bosses and work in entrepreneurship and grow Defined ID. We're really looking forward to the year that's to come for us.
Yes.
Well, you are on the right side of the business at the moment on the residential side because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
We wish you all the luck in the world with that.
Thank you.
And Donna, you're no stranger to the camera. You've been on many shows. You've won, I think, 7 awards from ASID Design of the Year. I think 3 more awards from Howells. And you've been on so many shows. A lot of people may already know you, but you can take a moment and tell us about your business and yourself also.
Of course, and thank you so much for having me. It is great to be here with everybody. So I'm Donna Hoffman. I run a luxury interior design company based in the Philadelphia region of the United States, but we really can work anywhere and everywhere. We seem to specialize in luxury that is very livable, and we tend to do a lot of new builds. More and more, and anything from a 10,000 square foot home up to 20,000 square foot homes with outbuildings, etc. And we also take on, single room and multi-room projects as well. And we're very much known not only for the type of refined aesthetic that we do, but also we have really just impeccable management, project management and design management, so we can really handle extensive projects. And when we're not doing that, we also have a national online course brand where I teach design lovers across the United States and beyond, women who are not hiring designers, but really who just want to do it on their own, and they're they're Instagramming themselves to death. So we have a great time with that community and really pulling the curtain back and teaching them as well.
So what do you do in your spare time?
I try to sleep.
You know, it's funny. One of the things that we wanted to ask both of you, when I say both of you, I mean both firms, is how are you finding business now? It's hard to go out and market yourselves the way that we're familiar with. How are you dealing with COVID and finding new business?
Would you guys like to take that, or you want
Yeah,
me to?
why don't we start? Let's start with Michelle and Rita.
Okay, yeah.
I think that for us, we are really leaning on social media and word of mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of like all designers are, you're leaning on just your community. So we're trying our best to do things like this, building our community and making our platform just more efficient and global, and anything that we can do in order to just try to pull in the crowd. It's not the easiest thing right now. And we are used to just kind of having clients come to us in hospitality and bid for a design. But I think that's our learning process right now. And that's what we are enjoying, is how can we market ourselves to further, this, our business. And so I think that it's working out. I know you're probably going to ask us about how social media is going, but we're hanging on by a thread.
We understand. We know how difficult it is now. That's just like I said before we went on air, that if you had told me a year ago that I would be involved with a television studio and live streaming and all these different platforms that we broadcast on, I'd say, you're nuts. Yeah, but I do know how difficult. Before I ask Donna this very same question, before I forget, I'd like to wish you, Michelle, a happy birthday. We understand.
Thank you.
We understand it was your birthday just yesterday.
Yeah. Thank you.
Happy birthday, and healthy, and many, many more. Donna, would you be kind enough to answer that very same question?
Sure, of course. And as I do, Rita, Dielle, and Michelle, I love your work. It's gorgeous. So I'm even more excited to be on with you right now. Yeah. So,
your work is good too.
Thank you. So we just hired another designer during COVID. Who would have thought, right? When COVID started, I remember saying to my husband, who's also our director of operations, oh my gosh, how are we going to survive this? And I was really, I had a moment of like utter panic. And then we are incredibly busy because we are involved in renovation and largely in new builds and significantly sized projects. In addition to the smaller work that we bring on, which will be a single room, multi-room. But so we're incredibly busy, and I'm kind of stressed out with that, honestly, but it's an elegant problem to have, so I'm not complaining. And because our online brand, that education brand, normally would be slow during certain portions of the year because of COVID, it was busier than normal because people were home spending more time looking at their four walls. So diversifying has been really good for our brand to have more than just the client service work. So knock wood, no complaints. Our business comes largely through word of mouth and through relationships with builders and architects and client referral. I don't find that internet leads are nearly as valuable. I'm sure most designers would say the same thing, as a referral, because you have immediate credibility. A client in England just hired us. They're building a residence here. They had seen our work. They loved our work. All I had to do is present the proposal. If they just wanted us, and we were the ones they wanted. They weren't even interviewing other designers. So relationship marketing, I think, takes a lot of time. It's exhausting, but I think it is very important, more so to me than just social media, because you don't own your social media following. If an algorithm changes, suddenly you can't reach the same number of people. So I think you always have to work both ends, the social media and internet.
It's a little difficult to get to social events with COVID, but your point is well taken.
Well, you do it through notes and handwritten notes or Zoom tales, which instead of cocktails, you're doing Zoom tales. There are other ways. And certainly any relationship you already have, you continue to mine those as well. And I say this to you as a woman who has a giant shy streak down her back. But I've had to really force myself to network in those ways.
Understood.
So
a Zoom
COVID
tale, huh? Is that what they're called?
That's what I call them. It's a Zoom tale. Like, well, let's Zoom together. I have a cocktail, you have a cocktail, and tailing. Yeah.
You know, when COVID first really started in March, we were doing that with our friends all the time, and then we all became alcoholics, and then we had to stop. So, how are you finding your new products? I do know that Donna just came back from the High Point Furniture Market, and I'm curious to know how they even held that. But let me start with Rita, Dielle, and Michelle. How are you finding your new?
Well, where do you look for fabrics and materials, right?
Yeah, but we have a lot of relationships with vendors. And so they'll do, like you said, a Zoom call, and we'll have wine online and look at their new collections. It's always harder to see it on the computer because, like we were going over your light box earlier, it's hard to see things over the computer. They're not in person, but we definitely get an idea of color and, pattern and stuff like that. So we've been doing that. We still go to the showrooms. We just wear a mask. And
Material bank.
Yeah, and also material bank is another thing that we like to use as well.
I was going to ask that next. There are so many platforms. You go to Material Bank. It just seems to us that there's so many and new startups, and we don't even know which ones are the most important. I guess it depends on where you are in the country.
Yeah, I think that's
I guess it just depends.
I guess I would say to that point, the good thing about all of these different relationships that we have is that we know that we can't go to conferences anymore. Certain things like BDNY or anything like that, but we can still go through our list of vendors and just say, hey, okay, we are looking for this, and that. And we pick out people and we'll email them, call them, and just try to get as many samples as we possibly can, because that's the only way that we can really do it right now.
Well, so there's a theme evolving in today's show, and that's relationships, whether it's with your clientele base or whether it's with your vendors. We need to all stay in touch with each other and continue
Donna, when you were in North Carolina, was there any sort of attendance at the show? We saw pictures of empty halls. Was it deceiving?
Yeah, not really. I mean, because we had a massive project start just as COVID started, and we really had to do it all without, really touching and feeling and seeing a lot in person, which was frustrating. So as soon as they rescheduled the market, one of my designers and I said, that's it, we've got to do it. We'll throw on masks and do it. I have to tell you that I felt very safe and socially distanced during market because they wanted appointments. They tried to space people out. There were, hand washing, sanitizing stations at every time, every 4 feet practically. I thought my hands were going to turn into like beef jerky skin. I mean, it was just, we were very sterilized as we walked through the show.
Right.
But it was so lightly attended that because they spread us out, it's normally a 5-day show. They made it 9 days. We were limited to 3 days, allegedly, per region of the country. So they were trying to really minimize how much traffic was happening. So we saw a ton of new because we were able to move through showrooms so quickly. In 2.25 days, my designer and I did 26 showrooms. We saw a lot.
From the pictures we saw of empty corridors, it might have been the safest place to be.
Well, I'll tell you what the freakiest part was, honestly, guys. It was being on the plane. You're shoulder to shoulder. They're selling the middle seats. It's very hard to social distance.
Really?
I sat next to the one numbnut on the plane who felt he shouldn't have to wear a mask on the way home. Thanks a lot. Thanks for nothing. After I've been socially distancing all this time.
Really?
So
They didn't make him wear the mask?
well, the flight attendant kept coming over and saying, "Sir, you need to lift your mask." And then, she'd walk away and the mask would come down. So, what are you going to do?
And there was nowhere to move to another seat, huh?
No.
Well,
The show
That's
was hard for the salespeople. I felt terrible for the sales reps because their days were so spread out because they didn't have a lot of people in there. They were tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10, they're there longer because they have to set up. They're there 10, 12 days.
Exactly right.
As we're talking about how COVID's changed things, I'm curious if COVID has changed some of your interior residential projects. Have you had to siphon off portions of the home to make office space? How have you handled the design side of COVID? Or have your clients just not cared? And
let's go to Rita and Michelle on that question.
Yeah, so I mean, things haven't really changed too much. We still have people come over, but most of the time we go to their homes and meet there instead, and wear a mask, of course, and present things there. So we've been utilizing that, and of course, they want us to come to their home too to see things and also to see progress. So it just kind of worked out that way. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been doing.
But as far as their actual space and how they're utilizing it, it is a little bit different because we're seeing people who, just like you asked, they do want to change, something in their living room or one of their extra bedrooms to be an office space. We actually just saw that a few days ago where somebody's like, we're all working in the house together, or yet like this picture, a dining space, like they have to make it more accommodating for them. And then their kids are doing things on online as well, like online schooling. So that's a little bit different. And we actually just spoke to a client about, she wants to reupholster her sofa. And she's like, my kids are always here now. They're eating here, they're spilling things. And so we are always suggesting, hey, let's go the sustainable route or the durable route. And let's think about the actual performance fabrics that you're using for such sofa or their desk chairs. And it's really nice. We had a client who just bought a new home and she turned their the kids' playroom into more so like a study in the corner and then also a play area, just so that they could have the 2 desk areas for them. And then also still, whenever they're on their little break, they can play as well or watch TV and just lounge around. So I think we're just going to be seeing more of that from families who are like, okay, hey, we might go through this again one day. We want to be prepared in the future. So
Understood. Let me ask Donna this question. Commercially, are you doing any business right now, or are all those projects on hold?
We just actually had a dental office call us to see if we could meet with them to do something with them. We are generally more focused on residential, so I'm probably not the right designer to ask about that.
No, I was just wondering. I knew that you both did a certain amount of commercial, but mostly residential.
Yeah, I do what I call soft commercial. So we've seen a continual pace on all of the new build and renovation that we do. We saw initially people were calling us to say, hey, can you help us convert our garage into a workspace and a home gym? But that type of inquiry, I think, has kind of leveled off. I think a lot of people who have been home have made that change already. And again, we're working on these large estate homes with, indoor pools and such. So these were already estate homes that already had not only one library, but his and her libraries. So work from home spaces are something that our client base has been doing for forever.
Where are you getting your inspirations from for your design now?
Oh gosh, everywhere. It's art, it's travel that I have done. It's the garden, it's movies, it's really anything and everything that I love doing that inspires me. It's insomnia at 3 a.m. Suddenly you wake up and ideas start spinning through your head, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a time not long ago that residential projects were so much just hardwood here, hardwood there. And now we're seeing more of our sound dampening products being requested, more of our broadloom being sold as area rugs, probably to go over some of that hardwood and quiet some spaces. And that's why I asked the question if COVID has changed the scope of the residential work.
I think that COVID has hurt certain echelons of residential. We had at the beginning of COVID, we had a lovely gentleman. He had to put his project on hold. His business dried up overnight. I think clients who are in that mid-level socioeconomic, I'd say mid-level, people who are hiring designers clearly are people who have discretionary income, but the uber wealthy are okay. They're okay through all of this.
Right.
It's that C-level executive, you know, that is, you know, perhaps afraid of layoffs and you know, downsizing. So, yeah. So again, it's been interesting to watch how the workflow has been coming in.
Now, I want to ask both your firms this quick question. Do you find, well, let me, before I ask you a question, let me tell you that we're into color. Summit International Flooring is into unique products, high quality products, and color. Alan Smith, who you met, he's our market development manager. He's sitting behind the board right now. He's going to actually just show some of the very bold, saturated colors that we have on some of it. Do you find that you tend to use colors like this or more neutrals?
For me, it's completely about the client. Completely about the client, their sensitivities, their cravings, their aversions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree with Donna. It's pretty the same here. It's whatever the client, you know, if they're adventurous and can do a little bit more color, then we'll do that. Sometimes we'll try to stretch them a little bit to get out of their comfort zone. But there are some people that just want neutrals, and you know, that's just what they like.
Right. Agree.
Well, I look at the neutral as sustainable design. You can change the pillows, the color of the pillows without changing the whole space, and kind of.
That's true.
Oh, can I just say, speaking of color and the furniture market, you guys, there was not a lot of color down there, which really surprised us.
Really?
Yes, there was some, but a lot of neutral, a lot more grays and taupes, and you know, the whole brown undertone continuing to grow, and you know, the grays are not so cool, they're getting warmer. But we were really surprised that colors like goldenrod, which were really starting to pick up steam, not even present. Jamie,
well, that makes us happy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because of us being known for color, everyone can just stop here at Summit International Flooring, and we've got what you need.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we look at color, deep saturation of wool. Most people would have wool in colors like the base of this print, whites and off-whites. We have wool in deep saturation. We have navy blues that don't lean towards gray. They don't lean towards purple, but are real true navy blues. So people do tend to come here for color. And on the rubber side of our business, we're not just black recycled rubber, but we're real colorful. So when you say you didn't see a lot of color at market, number one, that does surprise me a little bit. But number two, it makes me glad because we've developed a niche that's just not a Me Too niche.
Agree. And also, isn't there a thing that like hemlines follow the economy? You know, when things are good, they go up. When things are bad, they go down.
Right.
You know, I think in design, I think people like pulled back a little bit. And I think the manufacturers got kind of safe. The Jamie Drakes of the world and the Alexa Hamptons, yes, they were doing colorful installations, you know, with Theodore Alexander. But I would say, speaking in the greatest of generalities, we didn't see as much color in this market as I have in years past, which, like I said, I think people need it right now.
Yes.
I do too.
If people are going to be home more often, whether they're working or playing, they're home more often.
Yeah.
You know, logic would tell you from years of experience within the industry that they would want more color at that point.
It looks like one of our suppliers is watching us from Germany right now. Hello, Lars.
Hi, Lars.
How did that pop up? Oh, I didn't know how. That's the first I've ever seen this. In 19 episodes, someone just popped in and said hello. Hello, Lars. Lars is one of the top executives at Object Carpet of Germany. Very, very well known in Europe for contract as well as residential carpets, and we represent them here. So I did not know I'd be plugging them today. I really didn't. He just happened to pop in and say hello. So just moving forward, I have a question for you, because we have a meeting in our office pretty much every Monday. It's a marketing meeting, and we're wondering, where do you see, which platforms are you seeing products on? Are you seeing it on Pinterest? Are you seeing it on Instagram? We're curious because we're trying to figure out ourselves the best places for us to market.
I've got
anyone's welcome to jump in.
I don't know how this happens, but say that you're thinking of something or you're speaking. I'm talking to Rita, like, hey, I really need a pillow. Somehow, I don't know who's tracking us. But
Siri, I'm telling you, these phones, they listen to you. You know, there is no privacy.
It shows up everywhere on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, anything. So there's sometimes that we're sitting here and we're trying to brainstorm, we're thinking about something, and I don't know how you guys can do this. Maybe you need to speak to the FBI, but I'm just joking.
Maybe we just have to have our advertising say, please say out loud 3 times, Summit International Flooring.
Exactly, that's what you mean.
Right, and it's really incredible because you'll just be like, I was just talking about that. I don't know if this happens to you guys. I'm sure it does, but
it happens to us all the time, especially my wife. I mean, she's talking to me about a million things, and she always wants to. Do you believe that just popped up? Yeah, I know there's no privacy.
So you don't find one platform more important in your daily activities? Do you find any platforms that you go to more often than others?
For me, I find Instagram is really powerful because I've found great local art galleries that way. If I'm following a designer whose work I admire, and then I see somebody posting a like or something to what they're doing on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, who's that brand? And then I'll check them out. So I think Instagram is a really great connective kind of tissue and a good a rabbit hole for designers to jump down into. So I think doing that at your end is a wise thing to do. And also I've had brands reach out to us, my gosh, on Instagram.
Just tagging, or sometimes when we do renderings for our e-design services, we will tag the company and they'll just want to know, hey, where did you use this and how can we feature you on our Instagram platform. So I think that Instagram, maybe even LinkedIn sometimes, they can be really, really helpful in just trying to figure this whole thing out. So.
It's a constant battle. I've been a big fan of Instagram and the marketing on Instagram, but Oliver, who you met briefly before, he seems to believe, and I'm not arguing it, that for us getting our products on Pinterest, it gets more views, whatever. So we're just picking brains. Okay, so before we
Pinterest is a search engine. So for you as a manufacturer, I think Pinterest is smart because you're trying to put product out there, and designers go on Pinterest for inspo.
To end this show, I just want to ask you both, starting with Rita and Michelle again, what are you doing to position your firm for the growth, for future growth?
Yeah, well, I would say we definitely are trying to become really good with social media. So we've been really trying to reach out to the public through there and through Instagram, and as well as LinkedIn and Facebook. So we've been trying to utilize that, especially in the time that we're in. Everything is virtual and through an online platform. So that's pretty much been our main way, and also building relationships with people people, doing things like this podcast, and also, like meeting with vendors and just like connecting and building relationships with different people on LinkedIn as well has been very helpful.
Promotions and kind of like promotions and trying to just explore any avenue that we can to where we can help. I mean, I know she already said building relationships, but just helping one another. Like Donna, we would love to just, if we can, tune into your show as well and see like, hey, we can always use a way to build ourselves. Use it as a CEU or something, and with you guys, like we will continue just making sure that we keep that connection, and we're just letting everyone see that there's so much talent and diversity and everything in the design world. So as long as we can show that, I feel like we'll keep striving for more, and we'll keep building our business that way.
Donna, do you want to quickly let people know how to reach your platform before Dave ends this episode?
Sure, of course. So you can find our luxury interior design company at Interiors by Donna Hoffman. That's Interiors by Donna Hoffman. You can get right through to us that way. And if you want our online education brand, if you're more of a DIY design diva, as I call my lovelies that follow me, just go to theinteriordesignadvocate.com. All those words, theinteriordesignadvocate.com, and you'll see our online courses, and you can hop into that community. It's a really fun group.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for being part of today's episode. It was the first time we did a roundtable. I think it worked pretty well. There's little some audio issues here and there, but for the most part, it worked very well. I'd like to thank you both firms. Defined ID in Dallas and Interiors by Donna Hoffman in Philadelphia.
Thank
you.
you
both. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about next week's show. I seem to think we lost a camera. We did. We lost the camera. Don't know how that happened, but here we go. So next week, we're not going to have a guest. We've decided that we're going to talk about rugs. Everything you wanted to know about rugs, but we're afraid to ask. All about rugs, and it will be hosted next week by Mark Becker, sitting right here next to me, and Alan Smith, our market development manager. And Oliver, if you're listening, you're going to be running the board.
Well, Dave, different manufacturers offer different things with rugs. I think people will find it interesting, not just that rugs are available, but the many different types of area rugs that can be made. So we'll get into it next week.
Yes, we will. And if anybody should have any questions for us, it's easy to reach us at 1-877-496-3566. That's our toll-free number. Again, 877-496-3566, or by emailing us at info@summit-flooring.com. We always do look forward to hearing from you. If you have any topics you want to have discussed, that's the way to suggest it. Thank you very much for joining us again. We will look for you next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I hope everybody has voted. If you haven't, please go out there and get your votes. They do matter, and it's your civic duty. Get out there and vote. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and see you next week.